Hello everybody, I hope you all had a Merry Christmas and I'll take the opportunity to wish you all a very Happy New Year. This video provides an overview of Feudal Fracas, which is a set of medieval skirmish wargame rules. It explains how these rules emerged from my Gangland Gunplay rules, the key differences between the two, and the reasoning behind these changes. Finally, I talk briefly about a series of videos that will be appearing on this channel over the next few weeks, covering a campaign that I played out using these rules. After finishing the Huddsborough hostilities, I wanted to play another campaign to run alongside the ongoing Halfland saga. I had enjoyed playing the Gangland Gunplay rules, and so I wanted to do another skirmish campaign. Early medieval is my favourite period, so I thought it would be good to do something in that setting, and a Robin Hood type scenario seemed the obvious way to go. My original plan was simply to tweak the Gangland Gunplay rules to allow for medieval weapons. However, as I got into it, I actually ended up making some quite extensive changes. The first change was to simplify the rules a bit. In particular, I felt that tracking which weapon a figure is using at any time involved quite a lot of record keeping, but did not add that much to gameplay, so I dropped it. I also dropped the ability to recover wounds. Another change was in relation to reloading missile weapons. For this game, the only missile weapons are bows and crossbows. After all, who ever heard of Robin Hood throwing a javelin? This enables the rules regarding reloading to be considerably simplified. It is assumed that a bow can be loaded and loosed in the same activation. A crossbowman needs to use an entire range attack action to reload after each shot. These changes allowed for slightly larger games, maybe 5 to 10 figures on each side. The next thing I turned to was the activation system. As I noted in the video regarding the Gangland Gunplay rules, the activation system in that game is very random and unpredictable, with the order in which figures are activated based on turning cards from a deck, and the actions a figure can take once activated based on rolling dice. I decided to tone down the randomness a bit by getting rid of the card-based activation and going back to the alternate activation system used in Manic Medieval Mayhem, but keeping the element of rolling dice when a figure is activated to see what it can do. I also introduced the idea of a figure's quality. After all, a ruthless and highly trained Norman knight is likely to make better choices in the heat of battle than an amiable and cider-addled Saxon serf. Each figure is therefore given a quality score of either 0, 1, 2 or 3. A figure with a very low quality has its quality uplifted if it is standing next to a figure of much higher quality. So, as in Gangland Gunplay, when a figure is activated, you roll a number of dice equal to the figure's remaining vigour, that is to say the number of wounds it has left. Each number you might roll corresponds to a different action. 1 or 2 is a hold action, which basically means the figure stands there and does nothing. 3 is a withdrawal action, i.e. the figure runs away. 4 is a range attack, 5 a movement action, and on a roll of 6 the figure can melee attack. Any roll of less than or equal to the figure's quality can be used as a wild roll to take any action. You then pick one and only one of the dice rolled, the figure takes that and only that action, and then you move on to the next figure. I now moved on to the combat system. This was an area where changes were definitely needed. The combat system in Gangland Gunplay is elegant, but has no allowance for armour, and adding any such allowance would unduly complicate it. so I started again from scratch and came up with a completely different approach. The result is a handful of dice system used for both range and melee combat. Each weapon has a specified number of combat dice. These come in two varieties, critical dice and regular dice. So for example, a knife has 1 critical and 2 regular dice, while a sword has 2 critical and 3 regular dice. Critical and regular combat dice are distinguished by using dice of different colours for each. When one figure attacks another, roll the relevant numbers of critical and regular combat dice. A roll of 6 with a critical die is a critical hit. A roll of 6 with a regular die is a wound, and a roll of 5 with any die is either a pushback or a horse hit, depending on whether the target of the attack is on foot or on horseback. If the figure that is attacked is in armour, it gets to make a saving roll. This involves rolling a number of dice equal to the figure's armour value, which depends on the figure's equipment. Each roll of 6 saves a critical hit or a wound or a pushback. If a figure is range attacked and is in cover, it gets to roll an additional 3 dice of a different colour. Each roll of 6 saves a critical hit, a wound, a pushback or a horse hit. Finally, if a figure is mounted, it gets to roll 3 more dice of yet another colour, and each roll of 6 saves a horse hit. Note that you only get to make 1 saving roll per attack. It doesn't matter how many hits or pushbacks are scored against you, you only get to throw the 1 handful of saving dice. So what happens with unsaved hits? Unsaved critical hits cause D6 wounds. Unsaved wounds cause a wound, a single wound. Unsaved pushbacks are pretty self-explanatory. Unsaved horse hits dismount the rider. Being pushed back or dismounted also prevents an as yet unactivated figure from being activated in that round. Each weapon also has an encumbrance value and an initiative value. Encumbrance is used to work out a figure's movement allowance. Initiative value reflects things like a weapon's reach. If the target of a melee attack has not yet been activated and has a higher initiative than its attacker, then it can automatically activate and make a preemptive melee attack on its attacker. This enables a figure armed with a high initiative weapon, such as a spear, to act defensively, waiting for someone else to attack it and relying on its high initiative to get the first blow in without the risk of rolling bad activation dice. That covers the main differences between Feudal Fracas and Gangland Gunplay. I'm not going to go through all the other Feudal Fracas rules in detail. They are very similar to my other rules, which I've covered elsewhere on the channel. As ever, if you want a copy of the Feudal Fracas rules, then send an email to the channel email address as shown on screen, and I will send you a PDF. The usual disclaimers apply. These are my rules, written for my use, in language I understand, and provided to you free of charge so that you can have fun playing with them or trying to play with them. They are not a commercial rule set. So, having written the rules, I used them to play a campaign. This is set sometimes shortly after the Norman conquest, somewhere in England. It features grasping Normans, forest outlaws with bows and arrows, dispossessed Saxon nobility, and merry English peasants, all fighting each other in various stereotyped scenarios. The name of the campaign is Tales of Venison Jack, and there are 6 episodes, the first of which I will publish at the same time as this video. The remaining episodes will come out over the next few weeks. They always say you should pick a figure scale and stick to it. So I really should have played this campaign in 20mm. But I didn't. The miniatures that most nearly matched the pictures that I had in my head were 15mm metal, so I bought those. For those who are interested in such things, most of them are from Donington and the remainder are from Museum. Okay, that's enough to be going on with. Watch this space for the Venison Jack videos. I also hope to release the next batch of Halfland videos in the next month or so. Thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.